Hey everyone, it's Rachel from Sugar Maple Farmhouse, and today I want to show you how I upcycled this mirror that I have had for about 20 years. So like I said, I've had this mirror for about 20 years. In fact, the more I think about it, I think I might have even had it in my very first apartment. So it has been with me a long time. It has been with me before kids, before a husband, before a farm, before any of this. And I love the shape of the mirror, so I didn't want to get rid of it. It's been in my bedroom, it's been in my daughter's bedroom, and then we've had it in storage for a little while now. So I thought with a little bit of paint and a couple extra details, I could transform it. And I'm gonna show you what I did today right now. Let's get started. So before we begin, here is what the mirror looked like before. I don't have any other great pictures of it because I'm horrible at taking before shots of any project I'm working on, but you can see it's a rectangle, it is silver, and it has a little bit of beaded detailing on it. To get started, I simply began by wiping down the mirror. It was really dusty, and you don't want any of that dust in your paint and showing up on your final product. So I just cleaned off the mirror, I cleaned off the edges, and then I got to work using liquid mask to paint the mirror itself. If you don't know what liquid mask is, it's essentially a product that you can paint onto mirrors and onto glass like windows so that when you're painting with a sprayer, you can kind of go all over the place and you don't have to be super careful. I thought I would use it for this project because I knew I was going to use spray paint to paint my mirror, and I knew that that would get all over the place. So I thought this would be a better option versus just taping it up with blue tape. This was my first time working with liquid mask. I had never used it before, but I was excited to try it, mainly because I hate messing with blue tape on projects like this and shoving it into all the cracks and making sure that every little bit in space is covered so that I don't get paint on it. I love how this went on. It was really easy to apply with the paintbrush, and I found that if you do thicker coats, it works a lot better. It's a lot easier to take off later. If you get some spots where you have thinner coats, it becomes a little challenging to take off later. So glopping this on and really making sure you have a nice thick coat is important. Once I had all my edges painted up really well, I was able to just go to town in the middle. So once I made sure I got those spots where I knew there was going to be paint spillover from the spray paint, I was able to just go fast and paint the middle and paint a lot on and got a really good coat on the mirror. Liquid mask takes only 30 minutes to dry, so that was important to me too. I'm really impatient and I hate waiting for things to dry, so I love that I was able to put this on and then just go ahead and get going on the project. Also, this is not sponsored. Just in case you were wondering, I just actually use this product and I enjoyed using it. I will leave a link in the description below if you guys want to pick it up too and use it on one of your DIY projects. While waiting for the liquid mask to dry, I decided I would go ahead and add my details. So I used wood trim corner pieces to add some life to this mirror and give it a little more interest. I knew I wanted to put one in each corner, so I started there and just laid them out. Originally, I was a little unsure if I wanted to add any more wood details to the mirror itself. I really started this project thinking I could do something more like the anthropology mirror, but once I started, I just decided I didn't want that much detail to make it look kind of that fussy. I just wanted that little extra detail in the corners. My home style is pretty traditional, and while I love some good details and some good kind of floral accents, I just felt like those other wood pieces gave me a bit too much in terms of fussiness on the mirror. Once I had the wood pieces in place on the mirror where I wanted them, I went ahead and used Gorilla wood glue to glue them to the mirror frame. Gorilla Glue takes 1 to 2 hours to fully dry, and then it can take up to 24 hours to cure. However, I decided once these pieces were on, I was going to wait just the 1 to 2 hours before moving ahead, because I knew I would also have to let the paint dry once that was on the mirror, and I figured they could all cure together. Because Gorilla Glue does tend to dry pretty quickly, you really want to make sure you have your pieces lined up exactly where you want them to go. There's not a lot of room for fixing them later or taking them off without really damaging something on the mirror or on the wood pieces themselves. Here's a closer look at my corner adjustments. You can see that I aligned my wood pieces with that very corner edge where the two sides of the mirror come together. Sorry, this is so shaky. I did shoot this part on my phone while holding it. You can also see there's some dust I need to wipe off still. Once everything was dry for about 2 hours, I went ahead and I began spray painting. I first used Rust-Oleum Sunlit Brass spray paint, and because of the liquid mask, I was really just able to go to town and spray paint kind of everywhere on this mirror, making sure that I got in all the little nooks and crannies and even the edges that touch the mirror itself. Shockingly, I didn't even use 1 full can of spray paint to put a base coat on this mirror. It did take a few times of me going over it and really making sure I got into all those little nooks and crannies, even between the original beading on the mirror itself, to make sure I got good coverage. Once I got to a place that I was happy with the color and with how the mirror was covered, I decided to let it fully dry. So I waited 24 hours before going back and giving the mirror another look. What I found was when I let the Rust-Oleum Sunlit Brass paint fully dry, I didn't really love how yellow it looked. I realized that gold is very in, which is why I was painting this mirror in the first place, but it was still too brassy, way too yellowy for me. So in order to fix that, I went in with Rust-Oleum Vintage Gold Spray Paint too, and I basically used both of those together to get a finish that I really loved. Because I used the two colors together, I really ended up coming up with a custom color. But I think if you were to use both colors in a similar fashion, you would get really close to the color that I achieved here on my mirror too. When you're doing a project like this with spray paint, make sure you get all the edges. So here I'm going in and just making sure that I got the edges around the sides of the mirror. I won't always see these edges, but you never know how you're going to hang a piece like this and whether you want it horizontal or vertical, so you want to make sure that you've covered all your bases. Once everything was dry, I brought the mirror inside to take off the liquid mask. I will say after doing this, this is probably something I should have done outside just because there was a lot of cleanup involved, but you live, you learn. So I took it all off inside, and as I mentioned before, the thicker parts came off a lot easier than the spaces where I had put it thinly. So if you're going to use this, my advice would be to make sure you really use a good thick coat of liquid mask. If you do find that you have some trouble spots, I found that you could use a paint scraper with a little water, and that would help you get everything off the surface of the mirror. Once it is all off the surface of the mirror, you really want to go ahead and clean the mirror well. So I went and I cleaned the surface of this mirror probably about 3 times, just to make sure there wasn't any liquid mask residue left on the surface of the mirror. So as a reminder, here's how the mirror looked originally, silver rectangle mirror, and here's how it looks now. Here's some of that added detail, which I love, and if you look closely, you can kind of see where the liquid mask pulled away some of the gold paint from the frame, so I recommend using an X-Acto knife when you're going to remove it around the edges. I did actually do this project before Christmas because I wanted it to be our mirror on our Christmas mantle, so here's how it looked with all of our Christmas decor too. I think it looks beautiful, traditional, and I love how it popped against the fireplace. Thank you guys so much for following along today. I hope that you love this DIY upcycle mirror project. If you have an old mirror in your home, I encourage you to try to breathe some new life into it too and see what you can make of it. If you've not subscribed to our channel yet, please remember to subscribe so you can follow along with everything we're doing here at the farmhouse. It's going to be a really busy spring trying to get the flower farm up and going, and with a bunch of DIYs that I think will be fun for everyone to watch. Also, there is a full blog post on the mirror at sugarmaplefarmhouse.com, and I will leave a link for you in the description below. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments in the comment section below. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.